It can do any kind of job we assign to it, but generally speaking, we use it for little jobs instead of big important ones. Universities have proved that most of us are operating on about 10% of our abilities. Decide now, what is it you want? Plant your goal in your mind. It's the most important decision you ever make in your entire life.
Through CareerScript, we've firmly established the importance of having goals. Earl Nightingale does a good job reinforcing that message from us, even as early back as 1956. The question I often get, though, is how do I set good goals? Over the next 4 minutes, we'll walk through theories from the 1980s up to current day, covering SMART goals, the golden circle, 4 disciplines execution, and if-then plans. That's a lot to cover in about 4 minutes, so let's get started. In 1981, we established something called the SMART goals. SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, and actually in the original version that A is for assignable. As it relates to individuals, easier to understand it as achievable, something you can do on your own. They need to be realistic and perhaps most importantly, set on a timeline. So let's look at a good example of a SMART goal. Submit 2 manuscripts for peer review publication, one to AJHP and one to pharmacotherapy, by November 1st, 2015. While we don't have to have all 5 elements of a goal for it to be a SMART goal, the more of them we get, the better off we are. Contrast that with the bad example that we often see, something like improve my CV so I look better on paper than my competition. You can see we've got close to 0 elements of the SMART goals present. As we start to pursue these goals, rest assured we're going to run into difficulties, barriers, and struggles in actually achieving them. I like to pull from a concept called the Golden Circle from Simon Sinek's TED Talk in 2010. His concept of the Golden Circle talks about why, how, and what. The element I take is the why. As you start to run into barriers, you're going to question why you're actually on this journey, why you're charging after some of these difficult things, some of these lofty goals. You will absolutely ask yourself. If you don't have that why statement pre-written, pre-documented as to why you're going about these things, the likelihood of you walking away from a goal becomes very high. Having a why statement for each goal and sub-goal is essential. As it relates to goals, the 4 disciplines execution talk about something called the whirlwind. These are your day-to-day activities that really prevent you from focusing on the goals you want to achieve. If you're in school, perhaps your classwork, studying, or taking tests. If you're out of school, going to the gym, spending time with family, or actually working at your job are the activities they would refer to as the whirlwind. These things that distract you from your goals. To debate that, they say you need WIGs. A WIG is a wildly important goal. Wildly important goals require lead measures. And this is admittedly an oversimplification of their concept, but lead measures must be predictive of the desired end result and be something that is within your control. Again, 2 good examples of lead measures. Find and read 5 articles to reference in my AJHP manuscript by December 17th. Very specific, within my control, and predictive of my end result. Or number 2, write the first full page of the AJHP manuscript by the end of December. You notice some very subtle details here, that these are things that are within my control. So I've not phrased this that I will have a peer-reviewed publication published, because there are many other exterior factors that are in control of that scenario. So once we've established a SMART goal, we've written our why statements, we've got around the whirlwind and actually written good lead measures that are within our control and predictive of what we're trying to accomplish. A Harvard Business Review article from earlier in 2014 established something called if-then plans. Establishing the importance of a goal, we must have sub-goals to break out these individual goals, identify detailed actions, very similar to what we talked about with lead measures, and then create if-then plans that trigger the action. Simply, this is how those work. If I finish taking a test, then I will spend 1 hour immediately after to complete my manuscript. So you're establishing when a thing happens, then I will do something else. If it's Thursday and I'm done with work, then I will spend 1 hour immediately after to complete my manuscript. Feel free to pull that full HBR article from May of 2014. It really is a good read, but talks about some of the opportunities to actually activate your goals. Quick recap. Goals are an absolute necessity. They must be specific and time-related. You must break them into sub-goals. The sub-goals must be predictive of the desired end result and within your control. And the journey will be difficult, so you need why statements for each of these goals and sub-goals. And lastly, if-then statements can help trigger action on these goals. A lot to cover in 5 minutes, but that's what 5 for Thought is all about.